Breaking Down the Law is sponsored by Battle Born Injury Lawyers.
An estimated 250,000 or more Nevadans face eviction for not paying rent since the pandemic broke out. You may find yourself in that category as we speak. Well, on Monday, Governor Sisolak extended the moratorium on rental evictions until September 1st. So the question is, where do we go from here? And once that extension expires? Well, let's break down the legal issues with attorney Matt Hoffmann, as we do every Wednesday with Battle Born Injury Lawyers. Now, Matt, we know that the one that Governor Sisolak passed, following that, we know there was a nationwide moratorium extension, eviction moratorium extension passed. So what are the differences between the two?
Yeah, so Governor Sisolak, just in time for the September 1st expiration, extended the Nevada moratorium for 45 days. Now, that moratorium applies to anybody who's renting in the state of Nevada. There's not going to be any evictions. The federal moratorium that came through the CDC yesterday. So and people don't understand that maybe it's not an executive order from the president. It's actually through the CDC under their safety and welfare because of the pandemic. That extends the moratorium nationally through the end of the year. But there are some differences. So Nevada, because it applies to everybody, regardless of income levels, it prevents any evictions from going forward for 45 more days. What that's going to do is it's going to allow some of the money from the CARES Act to go to landlords, directly to the landlords on behalf of some of these renters who qualify due to their situations. Number two, I think that it's going to give some time for, remember the unemployment situation with the benefits and extended benefits. It's been kind of a mess. Barbara Buckley has taken that over, and it's going to give that office time to catch up on some of that with the hope maybe some of that money will flow through to the landlords, get some of these back rents caught up. Whereas the federal plan only applies to individuals making $99,000 or less. So unlike Nevada, which applies to everybody, you have to qualify for the federal plan. I think it's a bit of a misconception with some people thinking that, well, if you make over $99,000, you probably don't rent. That's not true. There's many, many people who rent that are not going to qualify for the federal program. So it's interesting to see the difference in the two. And there has been critics of the Nevada plan with the 45 days. It just happens to coincide with mail-in ballots going out within that period of time, just in time for early voting. But, I'm not going to really take a position on that other than to say that the timing, does pan out.
Well, let's just talk about, what a lot of people are concerned about. Okay, we have options on the table, but what happens once these options expire? What do I do then?
Yeah, and look, I can't really give any good news on this, and I don't like to be doom and gloom, but the bottom line is that people are going to be evicted, and a rental agreement is a contract, and under the law, it's a binding contract. And if you didn't pay rent and you were evicted, that's not the end. The landlords still have the option of filing a claim against you for the money you owe. Neither of these moratoriums forgive rent. They just prevent you from being evicted. So if you end up evicted and you owe 6 months worth of rent or something, you could find yourself getting a judgment, lawsuit against you and potentially a judgment against you. And that could, financially ruin people. I mean, credit, what have you. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some other program come out between now and then if this continues to look as bad as it does. Another thing for people to understand is that the landlords in this situation still have to pay if they borrowed money for these apartment complexes, for example, they're still paying those loans and whether or not they're getting income. And so a result of all this is you could see properties change hands. And when that happens, people that have been in, their residence for a long period of time, they may not see their lease renewed because it's a new owner.
There are a lot of issues that we still need to sort through. A lot of people hurting, trying to figure out what they need to do just to keep a roof over their head. So we appreciate you for helping us breaking down all of this and figuring out what it all means, Matt. All right, always look forward to having you. We'll do it again next Wednesday, breaking down the law.